Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, I am so excited to have Melissa Unsell-Smith on the podcast with me. I think you will find throughout our conversation, we have so many things that we have a shared passion around. And one of those is helping business owners be wildly successful without all of the overwork and really being able to work less, have more time for ourselves as we scale this incredible, amazing business that we have. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Miss Melissa, and then we are going to dive into all the good stuff. So Melissa is the founder of Catalytic Icon. Isn't that like the best name ever? And she is an automation and efficiency guru who has built 2 successful multi-million-dollar B2B SaaS companies. Now entrepreneurs work with her to reclaim control, clarity, and revenue in their business because they are sick and tired of being buried in the details and they want more freedom without having to sacrifice their wealth. I'm sure you can all resonate with that. She really specializes in pushing people outside their comfort zone so they can uncover hidden potential and unlock massive revenue without working anymore. So Melissa, welcome. I'm so excited you're here today.
Thank you, Krista. I am so excited to be having this conversation with you today. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Every time Melissa and I talk, we just have such a great conversation. I feel like we could talk for like days and we're like, yes. So hopefully you get a little bit more of some of the stuff that I talk about, but from a whole fresh, amazing, incredible perspective. So the first thing I want to dive into is, right, more freedom. Of course, we all want that, right? We all want more time. We all want to be able to have the success and the impact that we want without working more, and certainly without sacrificing wealth. So I just love to hear what's your perspective on this and kind of how that is feasible for business owners that maybe are feeling like right now that doesn't feel too feasible.
Absolutely. I would love to talk about that, Krista. More freedom without sacrificing wealth. I know it's a value and principle that you have, and I have. It's a shared thing we both admire. And I've discovered over my 2 decades of being an entrepreneur that it is possible. And it's taken me a long time to get there. But really, I think the core thing that I can really talk about in this area is that we have kind of 2 or 3 profound themes that exist in our ecosystem, in our world today. And one of those is that we are just now living in this amazing, engaging, curious time of information. And we have access to resources and information like never before. The caveat to that is we are living in an environment that is exploding with distractions that are literally designed to keep us unconscious, right? And to keep us distracted and out of our core competencies and out of our core things and values we're even focused on. And so much so that I've kind of come to this awareness that we are taught to ignore our self-worth and we're taught to compare ourselves to others and start going down a path that may not even be aligned to what we actually want and desire in our life. Another theme that exists in our world is this idea of hustle culture and quantity of work over quality of work. And I know you think this way, Krista. I think this way. I've always kind of been this outlier, and I like to turn my head in a direction that no one else is going. And so with that, it's just you have to really tune into what are the things that are going to serve you for your desires, your purpose, and passion. And if you can actually unsubscribe to these core themes in our society, you can actually enhance your clarity, your confidence, and your profits in your business because you are strategically serving yourself and cutting out the noise. I always say that clutter and complexity lead to procrastination and paralysis, while simplicity and focus leads to success and clarity. And so that's my viewpoint of that. It's not always easy to get there, but just having that key first awareness of it is the first step forward for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting, right? Because as someone who's similar to you, I help
Mhm.
people all the time try to achieve that clarity and that simplicity and to lean out all of the stuff that is not the stuff that is going to get them where they want to go or that they want to be doing and all the musts and shoulds and stuff. And it sounds so simple in theory. And yet in practice, it is so challenging to do. And I think so many people have sold this myth of easy to people that a lot of times people are distrusting of the concept of, yeah, but can you really actually achieve the results that you want without hustling and without working more? Because that's all I see. I either see the laptop lifestyle. I, spend all my days on Bali, like sipping my pina colada by the beach. Well, just massive amounts of, passive income rolls in. Or you see the person like hustling 100 hours a week and working. And I feel like there's a little bit less modeling out there of people successfully doing what you and I are talking about. So tell me, because I know you've had so much success with your clients, what are some of the things that you share and some of the ways that you help them shift that perspective and actually realize not only is this possible, but it's possible for me and I can do this?
Yeah. So with me and with the community of entrepreneurs that I serve, we really just operate off of four key principles. And principles are things that you adopt as truth, right? They are adopted as truth. There's no wavering from it. And it's just a principle that we choose to adopt in the community of people I serve. And those things are consistent upgrades to your identity. And by doing that, you're actually leaning into the future version of yourself. That gives you focus. That gives you clarity because you know where you want to be. And that allows you to create your own center of gravity and just go in that direction. So that's one of the core principles we talk about in my community and with my services. We also, I know you do this for your clients, Krista, and in your operational excellency, but we do talk about the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. So we literally honor that as a principle in which 80% of outcomes or your outputs result from 20% of your inputs. And so also what that's doing is that's creating clarity and focus. Again, another layer of that. Another principle that we really honor and serve is this idea that I call radical exclusion. And so with radical exclusion, that is where exactly my example I just talked about, where we're learning what distractions we can that are superfluous and we can ignore. We honor our inputs and boundaries so that we are saving and preserving our energy and mindset to do the things we need to do. And then the last one is really courage zone over comfort zone. And that is just really owning the fact that being uncomfortable or being comfortable, being uncomfortable is the most prevalent phase of exponential growth in an entrepreneur's success. So you've already reached wild success. To get them to that next level, you really have to lean into your fears 100-fold and just go for it. So by having those four principles as guidelines for the work we do in our community has been pivotal. And if I can provide just one example, a few weeks ago, I did a virtual event. There were 12 female entrepreneurs on the phone call with us on the Zoom. And we basically did an object sharing to lean into fear, to address fears, and object sharing to lean into the new identities. And this object sharing event was all about these entrepreneurs bringing an object that was meaningful to them that represented a future version of themselves. And we did this whole exercise. I won't get into the details of the exercise, but it was really profound and there were a lot of breakthroughs. Yesterday, I had one of the participants of that session reach out to me via email and said she just had secured someone that was in her pipeline, a client that she was actually afraid to pursue because it was a large amount of money. And she got it. She got the client. And it was a six-figure deal for her and her business. So not only did we get to envision our future identities, but we got to help her implement and actually go forth and then seek the benefits of that. So doing work like that, I think, is proof that it can happen and it does happen. And is it perfect? No, but it can exist and there's a path to reach that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I love that example. And I think that's such a great example of all of the principles that you shared. But I especially love, I bet for her, that was super uncomfortable. And she had to be very courageous in her actions to be
Yes,
able to step into probably putting the offer out or doing the ask or doing what it was that led to that person saying yes.
100%. Absolutely.
That's amazing. All right. So I love the principles. I love the idea of the principles, right? It gives you just such a great kind of check and balance to see
Yeah.
if you are doing the things that are most supportive to you. What would you say to the person that says, this all sounds amazing? That's great. But right now, I'm so busy and I'm so overwhelmed and I'm so buried. Like, I don't even know where to start. So, what tips do you have for the?
Yes, I get that all the time. People that want to work with me or join the community, they're like, yes, but how do I even begin this process? I feel like I'm 6 feet under. So, just kind of empathizing. We've all been there. We've all had seasons of our life where we feel 6 feet under and we're buried in the minutia of our business. But just having the awareness and having the courage to invest in yourself and your clarity and growth is just that first notion, just to give yourself permission to invest in yourself. But in a more tactical perspective, I quite frankly tell everyone I talk to, look at your calendar for this week or next week. And I want you to delete, delegate, or transform 5 things on your calendar because we all have at least 20 things on our calendar, right? So let's just take 5 of those and reposition them to give you more time and freedom in your day. So you can even think about leaning into the time to invest in yourself. And then I give them a couple of weeks to do that. And then I push them again and say, okay, now let's do 10 things on your calendar. Take 10 things on your calendar, delegate it, delete it, or transform it into something else. And now let's see the capacity that you have to think about investing this time for yourself and what that feels like from an expansive point of view. And that may seem super, super simple, but sometimes the simplest things are the hardest ones to do. So I found that that exercise and that tactic really gets the conversation going with the people that I get to work with.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anytime I do calendar work with people, they'll come in and be like, all right, we've got to solve this. But every single thing, oh no, I can't change that. Oh no, I can't let go of that. No. Oh, and I forgot I need to add this one. And so it feels so I think it's because it feels like such a big commitment. You said yes to
Yeah.
something. And so you don't want to break a commitment or change a commitment. And
Mhm.
so how from your perspective do you handle that? And is it really kind of a commitment to yourself to be able to make the change?
Yeah, again, I really believe that taking the simple steps to lean into the more freedom that you want gives you permission to keep doing more of that. Just like when you lean into fear and do something that seems so courageous for you get to upgrade the leaps that you get to take in the future because that just becomes easier. You almost create this quantum shift for yourself. So those commitments are important, but can we look at how important they are? And can we look at the 80/20 principle and go, is this meeting or is this commitment directly tied to my revenue, for example? And if it's not, guess what? I wouldn't do it. I would take it off the calendar and give myself that expansive moment to do something else. So the mindset work, the recalibrating what kind of commitment it is, and is it okay to delegate it or give it to someone else? These are conversations that we can have with ourselves and our team, but it's really powerful when you start taking those tiny step backwards from your business and start opening up so much more capacity. And I guess, Krista, maybe even for you and the work you do with your clients, I am sure that the results are so profound, but it's almost more of a qualitative aspect to entrepreneurship. It's not necessarily always quantitative. And so maybe that's why it's so hard to make the commitment and the investment to do something like this. And I don't know if you've seen that too, but it's profound when you reach that level and you keep unlocking more levels for yourself.
Yeah, I do think it is. And also, I think people, especially when you're in a state of being so busy, it's easy to invest in the next thing that you need to check off the list or to get done. And they could be really big transformational things, not necessarily little things, but a lot of times people won't take the pause, I find, to truly invest in themselves, which is probably the most transformational thing you could possibly do for your business, for yourself, for your life in general. And it's because I just think it's like I just got to get it done. I just got to get it done. It feels like a tomorrow activity when from my perspective, it should be a right now activity because that is going to get you so much further, so much faster, and in a so much happier way, in a much more fulfilled way than the draining way that it probably currently feels. What do you see something similar there?
Yeah, and I think inherently we all want to be human beings, not human doings. And I think early on in my entrepreneurial days, I felt more important the busier my schedule was. There was also some naivety built into that. I was younger when I started my first business, but I no longer subscribe to this. My schedule's so busy as a badge of honor. And I try to role model the way, right? Definitely role model the way by having expansive moments in my calendar. For me, I don't typically do meetings on Mondays or Fridays. Do all my meetings with clients, with my team, kind of building that in to your life so that it works for you is so important. And there are really easy things you can do just to feel expansive and all of that. And I think the more that we do that and serve as examples, the better. I really also think that as female entrepreneurs, if we were to look at that category of female entrepreneurs, we inherently have in our DNA that we can be all things to all people and we can solve all the problems and all the world's problems, but that doesn't mean that we have to. And it also means that, we should be more protective of our time and our energy so that then the places we are showing up, when we're showing up in our business lives, when we're showing up in our community lives, when we're showing up in our family lives, we are fully present and engaged. Again, human being, not a human doing. And that is where magic really starts to happen.
Yeah, I so agree. And along those lines, let's talk a little bit about self-care in the role of self-care, not just in us personally, but in the actual success of our business.
Yeah, so self-care, I think there's so many ways to look at it, but certainly like what fills you up as a human being, what like fills your bucket, and make sure you're doing more of those inherently and building that in to your schedules and your calendar, whatever it may be. It may be doing something outside, it may be doing a hobby, having that time for those expansive moments. Our brains are actually programmed to really admire curiosity and novelty. And we rewire our brains and the neurons in our brains by having those moments of novelty and curiosity. We don't do that when we are stuck in routine and habits and inertia. So, from a self care perspective, if you notice yourself constantly in routine, I call that habits and inertia. And you have to build in novelty and curiosity into your days and weeks, whatever that looks like for you. So if that's working out, if that's getting outside, if that's doing an art project, that's actually rewiring your brain and making you mentally more stable and resilient, which is a great capacity that you have as an entrepreneur, and especially if you want to grow and thrive as a successful entrepreneur. And that is so prevalently important, but we tend to not put ourselves first, and we tend to feel guilty when we put ourselves first. And that is the first thing we have to flip the script on so that we can build successful companies and successful lives.
Absolutely. And so tell us a little bit more about the work that you do with your clients and if you have anything kind of exciting coming up.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to share. So, with Catalytic Icon, the core mission of the community and my services is really unlocking entrepreneurial efficiency and resiliency through both meaningful conversations and immersive experience. And our core pillar is to really just offer off the record dialogue and off the record events that really help you uncover hidden potential because you can't see it because you're too buried in your minutia. So that's what we're all about. I have a community, I have memberships, I have a program that we have, a group coaching program that we have to help female entrepreneurs that are in high growth businesses start to take the steps back from their business that they need to do. One of the exciting things that I really love and admire about the work I get to do with my clients is we really just start to allow you to lean into discomfort. So I want you to get physically and mentally uncomfortable so that you can experience the profound growth in that. And that's going to be different for everyone, especially in those core principles we talked about. Some people may be totally easy and fine leaning into fear and being in their courage and like, yeah, I got that. Oh, but when it comes to radical exclusion, oh, I'm horrible at that. I want to keep everything on my calendar and own all the things. So that's the work we're doing in my community and would love for people that kind of honor and want to give themselves permission to step back from their business to look at Catalytic Icon and see how we can help you grow your company even further.
Yeah, tell people where they can find you and kind of dig in and learn more.
Yeah, so you can find me at catalyticicon.com. I also have a huge following on LinkedIn. So Melissa Unsell-Smith, come find me on LinkedIn. I would love to engage in a conversation there. There's a lot of activity on that platform, and I absolutely love connecting with entrepreneurs on LinkedIn.
All right, Melissa, I ask everyone this question and I am dying to hear what you have to say. And that is, in your business, how do you work smarter, not harder, and keep things lean?
I would say that's a great question. Oh my gosh. Working smarter, not harder. One of the things that I have implemented for myself over the past couple of years is this thing that I call a decision making compass. And this allows me to have a filter on everything I do and I agree to. And we talked about commitments earlier. So before I make a commitment and to make sure I'm working smarter, not harder, I ask myself these three questions. Does this excite me to the core and does it increase my financial success? That's one question. Does this put me in my courage zone while enhancing the worth and value I'm adding to the world? And then three, does this create more meaning, purpose, and depth in my life? And if what I'm agreeing to passes that filter, I know it's wholeheartedly worth doing. And therefore, I'm going to work smarter, not harder, because I'm going to love to do it. It's gone through all these filters. It's going to enhance my financial success. And that has been a game changer for me and how I operate. And the last thing I'll mention in that category is since 2018, I have been going on solitude retreats. And when I started doing solitude retreats, I did it for like 2 to 3 nights once a year. It's like, okay, great. It's like a little teaser almost. And fast forward to today, now I do these retreats twice a year, 5 nights, 6 days, twice a year. I'm by myself wherever I want to be. I usually pick a cabin in nature because I love to be, in the hill country or in the mountains. So I choose a cabin that is serene and I'm surrounded by nature. And I remove myself from any digital distractions. So no phone, no computer, no anything. And I also remove myself from human interaction. So it really is just me in solitude, thinking and reflecting and just gaining clarity. And I will say, I want to mention that because that investment in myself has had profound impact on my business. So much so that 2 years ago, when I was on my solitude retreat, I realized that my company was wasting almost $500,000 trying to onboard a Fortune 500 company that didn't fit our ideal customer profile. And we were trying to morph to work with them to be something to them that we weren't being to our other customers. We kind of got caught in that moment of distraction and going off course. And we would have kept going in that direction if I didn't have that time in solitude to help me save that $500,000 for my tech business. And so just getting the clarity and the alone time and that expanding your aperture of your awareness is one of the greatest ways that I've also been able to work smarter, not harder, because you see so much more beyond yourself by just getting still and investing in that slowness.
I feel like it just so beautifully, everything you shared there also supports everything about the principles that you shared and your entire mission. So I just love the way that you are truly modeling what you teach and what you do. And I love those questions. Really, really powerful.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen.
All right. So, any final tips for people about really slowing down and being able to achieve still incredible wealth, incredible success, but doing so at a pace and in a way that feels really good for them?
Yeah, my first piece of advice for anyone is just to see, how you can carve out a day, a whole day in a week where you don't have meetings and you just have time for deep work, either deep work that's nice and strategic or that feels expansive to you, and really protect your calendar for that one day in the week. And then just keep doing that for a few weeks and see the level of clarity and kind of see the level of how your aperture of awareness opens, because that is evidence that slowing down works, right? So create that evidence for yourself right now by building it into your calendar and having a way where you can be more expansive. And then you're just going to keep taking quantum leaps from there and you're going to want more. It becomes addictive. It becomes addictive. And then when you are in the minutia of your business and you get sucked back into it, you really know that it's happening, and it's easier for you to honor that that's happening and to be able to take the steps back to get back to that expansive state. So take that. My challenge is take that one day a week for deep work, nothing strategic work. And or what I mentioned earlier, look at your calendar, 5 things, and delegate, delete, or transform, and see how time opens up for you.
Fantastic. Melissa, thank you so much for being on the show. I hope you all got as much out of this episode as I did. I will see you again next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. If you have not yet taken our scalability assessment, I invite you to head to leanoutmethod.com/assessment and take our interactive assessment that's going to help you look at how simple, how sustainable, and how scalable your business currently is. It includes personalized recommendations of where to focus next to get your time back, to increase your impact, increase your profits, and ultimately step into your rich, fulfilled life. And finally, we'd love to see you inside our signature program, Simplify to Scale. You can head to leanoutmethod.com/ops to find all of the details on how we can help you uplevel your operations and get out of the day-to-day of your business.